This is a video I've wanted to make for some time regarding the Brook Converters for offline FATUC real hardware setups. In particular, I will be going over the analog and digital modes, SOCD, and the Remap Function, including uses for training mode buttons L3 and R3, as well as for the negative edge characters Sakura, Gilgamesh, and Bazette. While this video is primarily focused on FATUC, many aspects could be applied for many other fighting games on the PS2, and for players and TOs of fighting games that are using provided Brook Converters as part of their tournament setups in general. I set the training dummy to do a canned left-right mix-up. Blocking this mix-up normally requires switching your block, but with claw grip SOCD, you can block both sides at once if the converter is in analog mode. Here's what happens normally. Notice how I had to switch my block like that between the first and second lightning bolt. Now here I'm going to cheat and just SOCD to block it. As you can see, that was totally free. So SOCD is a big problem, and claw grip lets you SOCD if the converter's in analog mode, which is why we play with the converter in digital mode. It is in digital mode now, so I'm gonna try to do that same crap, and it's not gonna work. Now, I'm just gonna block the first one because the D-pad's getting absolute priority over the thumbstick. Now, if we look at the LED on the converter, it is currently white, indicating that the converter is in analog mode. We need to change it to digital mode, which would be indicated by blue light. To change it, you press home. Unfortunately, the game forces controllers to be in analog mode, which is what you just saw. But the converter can override it by pressing home on the controller or the brick key twice about 1 second apart. There we go. If successful, the LED will change from white to blue, back to white, and then back to blue again, and as you can see, it is staying blue. I'm going to demonstrate this using the brick key now. We're in analog mode. There we go, we're in digital mode again. The other benefit of digital mode is that the analog stick ranges are actually different between the two modes. Since the analog stick is being converted to a second copy of the D-pad, the sensitivity will be the same in every game, which in FATUC happens to be tighter in digital mode than it is in analog mode, which makes the diagonals on the thumbstick noticeably easier. Here's the engage in analog mode. And I'm in digital mode now. Here is the engage in digital mode. And immediately doing diagonals is a little bit easier as a result. Especially on an unmodded DualShock 4, which this controller is. Okay, so I'm gonna demonstrate something with negative edge on arcade stick real fast. So that's an unblockable setup, which is cool. More games should have this. So the way I'm doing this negative edge is I'm often transferring my held button. And this is way easier to do on a stick because I just have one finger per button. So I just did some unblockable setup. Just blocking. I screwed up. Unblockable setup. So, as you can see, because I'm able to transfer by having one finger per button, it's just a lot easier to do stuff like that on a stick than it is on pad. I'm going to demonstrate attempting to do this on pad. It's going to go pretty poorly. Okay, so now I'm going to try to do this on pad, and God, look at how unnatural how I have to do this on pad is. This is ridiculously unnatural on pad. Like, I was able to do it somehow, but I'm practically claw gripping here. In fact, a lot of people probably would recommend doing this by claw gripping. I can't even claw grip. See, claw grip. But that's not actually necessary because you can use the remap function. So I am going to demonstrate the remap function. This is the converter center, and in the converter center I have a profile pulled up here, training mode plus negative edge. So the turbo function is blank, macro page is totally blank. Anyway, the part that matters is right here. So L3 and R3 are mapped to be duplicates of L1 and R1, and then R1 is mapped to be a duplicate of square, L1 triangle, and L2 circle. This is for negative edge characters like Sakura. I'm going to sync this onto the converter right now. It is done, and now I'm going to go back into the game. So now that I have the converter set up with the remaps, I'm going to show how much easier it is to do this kind of nonsense. It's not totally free. But it's way easier. As you can see here, because I have a duplicate of light on R1, so I'm just holding R1 when I need to do that. So when I need to do the transfer, I just press R1. Way easier. This makes it much more comparable to how difficult it is on stick than how difficult it normally is on pad. So if I'm also doing something like that's also easier. I didn't actually use the duplicate there, but like if I need to do something, like if I need to hold B, I can hold L1. Now I'm holding B. So notice I'm not getting any B presses despite the fact that I'm mashing B. This actually is I'm going to demonstrate that it doesn't let you mash B faster at all because you have to release each B, triangle or L1 before pressing the next one or it won't count. So bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. But if I try to do that, if I try to cheat it, see, I made it harder by trying to alternate it. See, I'm only getting like one press that way. So it doesn't let you mash faster either. All it does is makes negative edge more comparable in difficulty between pad and arcade stick. There are ways you could use remap that could be a problem, such as remapping directions, but at least with regards to remapping action buttons, for the most part, it's just within range of how it works normally. So one of the other benefits of remap, the main one for most people, is going to be the fact that L3 and R3 are not bindable, which for pad players who use the default controls of R1 sidestep, L1 throw, L2 activate, you will want to be able to use L3 and R3 for key recording and key replay. So in order to set that up for that, we need to use the remap function of the converter because, see, I keep pressing L3 as much as I can and nothing's happening. Same with R3. I'm pressing R3 as many times as I can, nothing's happening. So I will demonstrate how to do that in the remap function of the converter real fast. So the way you want to do this is you go into the Brook Converter Center. You can also do it on the converter, but I'm going to show it in the Converter Center because it's easier, and also because converters are provided at tournaments, and some TOs might actually prefer if it's done in the Converter Center so they can actually verify the settings. So remap R1, I'm going to set to triangle and circle, which is the default for sidestep. Now I have to unclick R1 here because by default it will include R1. I'm going to do the same with L1 with square and triangle. And now R1 is sidestep, L1 is throw, just like it is by default in the game. And the reason we're doing this is to have L3 and R3. So I'm going to make L3 be a duplicate of L1 and unbind it as L3. And I'm going to do the same with R3 and R1. So now with this, we have a profile which has the training mode remaps applied. I'm going to sync the settings to the converter right now. And now I'm going to switch back to the game. We are in digital mode. And watch this. I'm going to press L3 for key recording. It's L1. R3 for key replay enemy. It's R1. And I'm going to R2 for control change. And now sidestep is R1, just like it is on pad by default. Throw is forward and L1, just like it is on pad by default. Activate is L2, just like it is on pad on default because I haven't changed that at all. And by holding R2, I can change controller. So now I'm controlling caster. And so if I want to do a recording with Catherine, okay, now caster is doing what I just recorded. And I am bad at blocking caster mix-up. And I got hit again, because I'm bad at blocking caster mix-up. But that's fine. Oh wow, I'm really bad at blocking caster mix-up. There we go, I blocked it. Okay, my being bad at blocking caster mix-up aside, you can see that the remap function has enabled me to have the full pad defaults. See, I can sidestep with R1, I can throw with L1, activate with L2, and even do full input recording by using L3 and R3. That concludes the section on this use of remap. The other possible use of remap I will show now is some more profiles I've made. I'm just going to show the profiles. I'm not going to actually demonstrate them in action right now because I'm feeling a little bit lazy. Anyway, this is max dead zone. So if TOs want to just restrict players to one of each direction, to do that for getting rid of the thumbstick, you just max out the dead zone right here. That's max dead zone, which will make it so the thumbstick cannot do anything. Additionally, we have no dpad. So what no dpad does is it actually used remap to take every single one of the dpad directions and map it as a duplicate of L3, which can't be binded to anything. So this would be for if you want to require players to choose between dpad and analog stick, then they use this profile for no dpad and the other one for no analog stick. However, using digital mode for the most part is pretty enforceable. Just when you hop on a setup, make sure both players' LEDs are blue. If they are not, press the Brook key or home twice, 1 second apart approximately, on each of your controllers and make sure they're blue at the start of your set. And then please, for the love of the gods, don't press home in the middle of your set and then claw grip SOCD. If I catch you doing that, you will eat a DQ. That is obviously cheating. Please don't do that because we do want people to have to block cross-ups and not have controller-specific bugs to block them for them. Sorry, not sorry. Here's how to check for whether a converter center profile is legal or not. Just open the profile. So let's open this one because this one has a lot of stuff going on. Anyway, the turbo tab needs to be blank, obviously. The macro tab had better be blank, also kind of obvious. And then the remap, check for any duplicates of the D-pad directions in particular, because, you know, if you see left or right as a duplicate, you're going to want to make sure there's no way that duplicate enables an SOCD, though ideally the converter will actually have a setting to clean SOCD added to the advanced tab. If, as a TO, you're insisting that people only get one of each direction, check the advanced tab as well. So if you don't see the D-pad disabled by all of these being mapped to L3, check the advanced tab and check the thumbstick scaling ratio or the thumbstick dead zone. On this profile, the dead zone is totally maxed out, so you won't be able to use the left analog stick and the right in the D-pad in order to SOCD. The only way you could SOCD is with a pure D-pad SOCD, which unfortunately the converter does not prevent at this time. But if you have a pure D-pad SOCD, it better be cleaned. During button checks, if your opponent shows up with a hitbox, it's totally reasonable to ask them to demonstrate that they have an SOCD cleaner or that they're not SOCD blocking with it. Anyway, this only has one additional of square, triangle, circle, L1 and R1 on L3 and R3, though that's actually for training mode, especially because L1 and R1's actuals are duplicates of triangle and square respectively. So that's how you can verify if it meets the rules you've set. Additionally, there is a way to do it by manually reading the XML profile the Converter Center generates, but that is beyond the scope of this video. That would be a useful thing to develop, mostly for making an automated program to check converter settings to make sure they're within the rules. I hope that this video has been informative about how to set up and use the Brook Wingman Converters for Fate UC, and that it has equipped TOs with a greater understanding about how game-specific rules about the converter settings can be enforced for their game. I also hope that I have shown that regarding remaps specifically, there are options between the Wild West and a blanket ban on the remap function.